let's walk you through how the dailies are reporting the big stories today. And we have joining us on the program Mr. Ambrose Igboke. He's live for us virtually. Good morning, Mr. Igboke. Welcome to the program.
Well, Kayode, good morning. I'm glad that you discussed this issue of doctors. So those of us who end it academically can now be rightly referred to as doctors.
I saw that coming.
You want us to send our certificate so that we can prove it.
I love that. I love that. Flaunt it because you worked for it. So we're starting off with New Telegraph today, and the New Telegraph leads with what it describes as Islamization agenda claims. We can't remove Christianity from Nigeria. It's impossible. That's coming from the Sultan. Says Nigerians must resist divisive narratives. Says Can President calls for unity, religious literacy, promote tolerance ahead of 2027 polls. Akome tells clerics and traditional rulers. So clearly there was a meeting where these conversations came up yet again. But Dr. Igboke, what do you make of this?
Well, I just think that the Sultan should talk to, a lot of the Islamic sects that do high voltage rhetoric, like Murik sometimes, Muslim Right Council, who, at every point in time, they, just recently, one of the Islamic groups said that anybody who is not a Muslim should not be voted for. These are not helpful. The Sultan is a very, very revered, ruler. He's not just a traditional ruler; he's also a religious ruler. So I think it's also start from home to talk to some of these radicals that spew all kinds of invectives, against other religions. Also, where like what is happening in Anambra State now, where a lot of the so-called, we know that there are fake people, that there are fake DBS, native doctors or herbalists or what we call traditional priests, but also there are fake pastors, there are fake imams and all the rest. So why are we also going against, just only against the fake traditional people? So we should treat religion as dispassionately different from what governance is, and what costs around everybody should also go around. So these are the things to look at. But Nigeria has become, I agree with the Sultan, that Nigeria has become what it is. It's a pluralistic society. And the earlier we begin to accept the fact that we all belong to the same country, the better. So those carrying agenda that you are going to Islamize Nigeria, or those carrying agenda that everybody in Nigeria must be born again, should think twice, because in the Constitution of Nigeria, though it's a secular, constitution, but again, we saw a lot of religion issues coming up in the Constitution. So we need to make up our mind whether we are going to be a religious, again, the Constitution has the penal code and the other code also, the Sharia code. And so, these things, doubles as confusion sometimes to say whether we're a secular state or even one part of one religion is being, pampered and the others are just being allowed to live. And so we should look deeply into what unites us and not what divides us.
Yeah, well said. And so from there, let's head to the Vanguard newspaper that also captures another national issue. This is worsening hardship, as you would see on the front page of the Guardian, insecurity, poverty, pushing Nigerians to brink, NLC warns. It's a page 5 read. We also see from the rider there, false finance minister's insistence on fuel subsidy removal. Presidency won't bring back subsidy. That's ascribed, of course, to the finance minister coming off on the back of the meeting with global investors in France. What are your thoughts on the position of the federal government on fuel subsidy removal, particularly on that also that has to do with the increase in pump price of petrol against the backdrop of the conflict in Iran, saying that the federal government will not impose any form of price control as it would respect the autonomy in the markets?
I believe strongly, and it's a very strong opinion that I hold, that the Nigerian government in the economics of subsidy got it all wrong from the beginning in this Bola Tinubu administration. And we are going to France to talk to those who subsidize their citizens, those who make sure everything is available for their citizens. You are talking to Europe that subsidize their farmers. You are talking to Europe that does mortgage, that does health insurance, that does all kinds of, in fact, that pay jobless people in terms of social protections. You know, you don't have any social protection. Yet these people, they remove subsidy because they have put everything in place. We have countries who look at even our own neighbor here, Ghana, that has brought down pump price because of hardship on the citizens. Yet we are an oil producing nation. Therefore, we should not bring out all these economics of maybe Brentwood or where we have in UK or where we have in even in Switzerland and all those Brussels and all those things. While we may try to look at the concepts that define such economies and apply it locally, all economics should be local. But unfortunately for Nigeria, we are just doing textbook economics, not looking at the realities of our situation. You are removing fuel price at the same time you floated the naira, at the same time you did all kinds of things. Subsidy is what you owe your citizens. It's not a favor. So instead of removing subsidy, first of all, subsidy in the petroleum sector came because the federal government failed woefully to make the refineries work, to refine locally. So you are transferring your failure of leadership to the citizens. It is not right. It's not correct. Therefore, instead of looking at how to remove subsidy and suffer the citizens, the federal government should make the refineries work so that we will refine our localities locally and bring down the price. Now you are comparing me to buy gasoline or buy kerosene. I have little ones in youngsters in school complaining in the universities that kerosene is now 2,200 per liter. How do you want students to survive in that kind of environment? Yet you go to France and say you don't need fuel subsidy. Meanwhile, even UK, they use money from foreign students to subsidize the school fees of their own citizens. Why foreign students pay as much as 4 times the school fees? These are mechanisms that countries have put to subsidize their citizens. But our own leaders wear suits and go to Britain and not a tie and speak English and French with them and say, oh, we are not going to do because IMF told you not to do it. I think we should come down and do homegrown economics to make our people work. Countries are considering, because of the effect of the Iran war, how to subsidize their citizens and make it better. And Nigeria is proudly saying we won't put subsidy to ameliorate the hard situations of the city. This shows that the government is not caring at all and does not even think about the welfare of the people.
Well, The Guardian is next, Mr. Agboke, and it leads with the health sector. 85% of primary healthcare centers in distress, without doctors, despite 55.4 billion naira budget in 4 years. And you see a breakdown, system at the breaking point. That's how The Guardian titles that breakdown. Only 8,309 facilities, and you have severe utility shortages. Only 51% have electricity, 38% lack access to water, and that's water, basic water. 40% lack laboratory services, and it goes on and on.
I want to thank The Guardian for highlighting this pathetic situation once more. I have a lot of friends and doctors. I'm very familiar with the health sector because even my wife is a nurse. So I know the issues that happen there. When you just go to the teaching hospitals and talk to the doctors there, you will be shocked about the number of people that live on daily basis. In fact, I went to a teaching hospital in the southeast here, and they told me that the shortfall of nurses, that an average of 50 nurses, in fact, they are coming and they are rolling over, are leaving yearly. So how do they cope? And the government is not even, replacing them as they leave. We are talking about a teaching hospital here, not even a primary health center. The consultants are leaving. They are going to South Africa. They are going to Rwanda. They are going to Canada, they are leaving for UK, they are going US and just living. Saudi Arabia, they are leaving because the pay is so pathetic compared to what their colleagues are earning in senior climes. So what do we do? Go to school of colleges of nursing or nursing departments of universities and talk to the students. Just you can take this as a vox pop or a report and ask them, what are you going to do after you leave school? I bet you that 90% of them, this is an experiment I've done myself, will tell you we'll leave the country. So even you see nursing colleges opening everywhere, you see more students looking for nursing courses. Why? They want to leave the country. That is just in their mindset. So it's going to be even worse because the pay is very poor, even for those living in urban areas. Remember that most of these primary health centers are in the rural areas. There are no doctor quarters. There are no nursing quarters. There are nowhere to stay. There are no accommodation. So somebody is living in Ikeja, for example, and he wants to go to all the way to a primary health center in Badagry. How does that person cope? Or he wants to go to a village. So primary health center is the nearest to the citizens in the grassroots. And these are supposed to be, at least, have a doctor and some nurses. So what can improve it is, let's have a doctor's quarter, let's have a nursing quarter, so at least they can be comfortable living in that environment. Give them power supply, maybe solar power to give them some level of power supply per day. Pay them more than those who are working in the rural and the urban areas, so that they can have extra incentives. So by the time they live in a free house, they don't pay electricity bill, they earn higher. You will see that people will now start lobbying to even be posted to primary health centers. But if their incentives are not there and they are earning at par with those who are still in the urban area, then there's going to be a problem. And then the local governments are becoming so inactive that one keeps wondering if they still exist. Now that allocation are going to them directly, what are they doing with the money? So they should vote more money to maintain primary health centers, so that we don't have this kind of pitiable figures we are having. They can do better, and our primary health can be better only if we, focus on making them better.
So from the minister to the commissioners to the local government heads, I mean, this is right at your doorstep. And it's not even too much to ask for. It's the basic primary healthcare centers. And it's really sad to see what is playing out. But Dr. Ambrose Igboke, we must thank you, Chairman Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State. I understand you have a book launch today, so we wish you the very best, Dr.
Thank
Igboke.
you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.